Hey everybody, Cindy here with Monarch Mom DIY. I'm excited to be bringing you today this mini album Monday. We're going to make a Christmas mini album using envelopes. Now this first one that I made is a little bit larger. I was using 5x7 envelopes, but I didn't like that they had that pointy flap. So you can see on the left, I had to kind of modify the pockets, but we're going to make something similar to this here on camera using slightly smaller envelopes that have a straight flap. You'll see here, but really super cute, fun. You can make this with one-sided paper. It does not have to be two-sided. So that's what I made earlier. Now these are the gosh, how big are these? These envelopes are 4 3/8 by 5 3/4, and they have that little straight flap there. And what I'm going to decorate with is this package by Cardstock. We're going to use 9 envelopes, and then you are going to need 2 pieces of cardstock, and then a third one for the spine. This is going to be the cover that we're going to make. And let me just show you here. These envelopes, like I said, are 4 3/8 by 5 3/4 for like a 4x5 greeting card. Okay, like I said, you don't have to use two-sided scrapbook paper, but I am for the cut aparts. Now, the pieces here for the cover are going to be 4 3/4 by 6 1/8, and then the one little piece is 1 3/8 by 6 1/8. And I will put all of these measurements in the description. Now this is going to be our spine. So what I'm going to do is score this 1 3/8 piece at 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to flip it around and score it at 1/2 inch on the other side. That is going to give us a 3/8 inch gusset in the middle with 1/2 inch on either side. So we're going to take this and we're just going to kind of bend it. This is some heavier weight cardstock, but this is a super easy book to put together. So there's our little spine that's going to hold our 2 pieces of cardstock. It's going to fit our 9 envelopes inside. So we're going to put together the cover of our album first. I am going to use some score tape here. And I am putting it on both of the outside flaps. We are not going to put adhesive on that middle gusset. So I am putting this on one side right up to the score line, but not over the score line. I'm going to do this on both sides, and then I'm going to peel off the paper and do one more piece on each side just to go all the way to that edge. Once we have our adhesive on both sides of the gusset, we're going to take one of the pieces of the cover. So this will be the back cover. We're going to line it up, covering up that adhesive, going right up to the score line there. And then once we have it in place, we can go ahead and press that down really well. Then we'll flip it around and we'll do the same thing with the other piece of our cover. And that's how easy it is to make the cover for this book, just burnishing everything down to make sure that adhesive is in there really well. You can fold on either of the score lines of your spine there and just make sure your front and back covers are lined up nicely, nice and square. Okay, so again, I want to reiterate, you do not need to use double-sided cardstock for this. I am just using this because I want to be able to incorporate some of those journaling cards into the album. You can use single-sided cardstock for this project. just like I did in the first album I showed at the beginning. That was a vintage Christmas paper pad from Hobby Lobby. All right, so I'm just kind of showing you some of the different papers here. I am, again, going to have all of this listed out in the description, but the first thing I need are 3 pieces cut at 4.5 by 5 7/8. Okay, this is going to be just a little bit larger than the envelope, but a little bit smaller than my cardstock cover. One of these is going to go on the front cover of the book, one on the back cover, and one on the inside of the back cover. So 3 designs at 4.5 by 5 7/8. And there you can see when we mount that on top of our cardstock cover, it's going to give us that nice little border all the way around. Okay, so those are the 3 pieces for our cover, front, back, and inside back. Next, we are going to need 8 pieces that are 4 1/8 by 5.5. These are going to go on the right-hand side when we are flipping through our book. So 8 different designs at 4 1/8 inches by 5.5 inches. Then the last group of paper we need to cut, we need 9 pieces that are 2 7/8 by 5.5. And this is going to be over on the left side of each of our pages on this smaller side of our envelope. Now that we have all of our cardstock cut, we're going to start assembling our book by attaching our envelopes together. So what I'm going to do is put adhesive or glue, whatever you want to use, just on the flap of the envelope. And then we're going to turn that back around and we're going to line up the next envelope right on top. So lining up the left corners first where it's not sticky, and then just laying it down on top of that sticky flap. Then you can see here how they are attached together. We're going to keep doing this until we have all 9 of our envelopes stacked up and attached to each other. Okay, so once that process is done, you can see we've got all 9 envelopes, and this is starting to look like a book. And then we just have that flap on the back side there. Now we're going to come back to our cover, and I'm opening it up so the front cover is actually here on the right hand side, and I'm just going to decide which ones I want on the front and back, and putting adhesive all the way to the edges. I'm going to stick this down on the front cover of the book and then also attach my piece to the back cover. I'm not going to do the inside back cover yet because we have to do that after we put the envelopes inside. Now coming back to our envelopes, we're going to open to the first page, and on the right hand side we're going to use one of our 8 pieces that are cut at 4 1/8 by 5 1/2, and then on the left we're going to do one of the 9 pieces that's 2 7/8 by 5 1/2, and I just stuck that one piece in there to show you there is a little pocket there. So you might want to go through and kind of pair up all of your papers first and then start sticking them down to the right and to the left. And you will have a small craft colored border going around each of your cardstock pieces. Now that we have all of our cardstock adhered down, I'm just going to flip through just to show you what it looks like now on the inside with all of our beautiful cardstock. And then we will have one more flap here, so we'll have one more piece that's going to go on the back. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is attach this envelope stack to the inside of our cover. So what I'm going to do is take some score tape, and on the left hand side there where it's going to go up against the spine, I'm going to leave about a 1/4 inch space. I don't want the adhesive right up to the edge on that side, but on all the other sides we're going to go as close to the edge as we can get so that this is going to be nice and adhered into our cover. Once we've gone all the way around with the score tape, I'm going to put 3 pieces on the inside as well. Then we'll burnish those down and peel off the backing. Actually, before we peel the backing, we're going to flip it over to the back to get the tape down here. Again, on the spine side, we're going to leave a little bit of a gap before we lay our tape down, and then the rest of this flap we're going to go as close to the edge as possible and then do one more little line on the inside. Now coming back to the top of our stack, we're going to peel off all of the backing for our score tape so that all that adhesive is exposed, and then we're going to line it up and attach it to the front cover. So opening up the cover, we're going to stand up our envelope stack, lining it up just to the right of our score line, and we're trying to get it evenly spaced top and bottom with the same amount of space above and below. Once we have it where we want it, kind of let that first envelope flop over and it will stick down to the inside of the front cover. Now we're going to do the same thing with that little flap at the end of our book. We're going to expose all of that adhesive and line up the stack of envelopes again, attaching this last flap to the inside back cover. Now that we have our book all put together, we're going to take that third piece that was 4.5 by 5 7/8, and we're now going to adhere this down to the inside of the back cover. We had to wait until we had that last envelope flap attached so that now this cardstock can kind of cover up that flap and finish off the inside of our book. And here it is all put together. I love how the pages can open and close freely because that spine is not glued, just the front and back covers. Everything lays nice and flat. Now, like I said a couple times already, you do not need to use double-sided cardstock for this, but one of the advantages of these kits that have the double-sided is that they also usually have at least 1 or 2 sheets of these cut aparts. These are nice to add into mini albums as journaling cards. I'm actually getting this deer here on the front that says Christmas Memories. This is going to be part of my front cover, so that's why I'm cutting this one out, because I want to add it there. And I'm going to cut a slightly larger piece of this red stripe to go behind that card. Then what I'm going to do is get the other sheet that has 9 of the 4x4 cut aparts, and we're going to put one of these into each of our pockets of our mini album. So like I said, those journaling cards are 4 inches square and they are black on the back. I want to make them a little more functional as journaling cards. So I'm going to take that same craft cardstock that we used for the cover of our book, and I'm going to cut squares that are 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches that we can then mount to the back of the journaling cards to make them actually journaling cards, one for each of our envelopes. Then once they're all cut, we can just use some adhesive, tape runner, glue, whatever you'd like to attach those craft squares to the back of our journaling cards. And lastly, we're also going to take that deer journaling card that we cut out and mount it to the slightly larger red cardstock, and then we're going to attach this to the front of our journal. And then all that's left to do is add one of these journaling cards into each of the pockets of our album, trying to use a different color than what the 2 pieces are that are already decorating that page. These Album kits also come usually with stickers, so you could definitely add stickers, some more embellishments to your pages. But I just think these envelope mini albums are so fun to make. These would be great to make for a craft fair, to give little gifts to your family and friends, whatever you'd like. And I do want to thank Lyric Lover Crafts for her original idea of this that I watched and then changed up for the size and color of envelopes that I had on hand. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you guys want to see more mini albums, let me know that in the comments, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Take care.